That's real tough.
You want to talk reparations, don't you?
Wait a minute.
You want to talk reparations?
Wait a minute. Is
Hey,
that
man.
what
hey,
Will, you want to talk reparations?
Wait
I
a
mean,
minute.
I've been talking about reparations for like 3 years now.
Well, I got some reparations for you.
Hey, man, go
Since
for
you
it.
want to talk about reparations.
Go ahead.
In a historic move, North Carolina City approves reparations
Already
for
read
black
about
residents.
It. And guess what? It'll never be enough. You know why it'll never be enough? Because unless we make a 400+ year plan, it'll never be enough. You know why? Because all it's gonna do is tell everyone else in power in the Carolinas, this is what you got to give them to shut them up.
Well, let's talk about what they try to give them to shut them up. Then
What are they trying to give them?
an extraordinary move. How you like?
Shut up, Pops. We on the same page.
Definitely.
Yeah, Pops.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
that's
I'm
my guy right
Nah,
there. That's
I want to hear what they try to give them.
That's Ricky Williams 1. I'm just the second coming. The Asheville City Council has apologized for North Carolina City's historic role in slavery, discrimination, and denial of basic liberties to black residents, and voted to provide reparations to them and their descendants. The vote, 7-0, came the night of July 14th.
Oh, and they did it at night. Go on ahead. I want to hear the rest of this. Come on. So what they give them? What they gonna give them?
I got you, baby. I got
All right,
you.
here we go.
Excuse me. Hundreds of years of black blood spilled that basically filled the cups we drink from today, wrote Councilman Keith Young, one of 2 African Americans members on the body and measure of the chief proponents. First of all, shout out to black people being in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It is simply not enough to remove statues. Black people in this country are dealing with issues that are systemic in nature. All right. Mm-hmm. The unanimous passed resolution does not mandate direct payments. Instead, it will make investments in areas where black residents face disparities.
Not enough.
So let me read about this.
Let me touch on that.
I'll read it now. I throw it to Dev, and Will, you got it from there.
Yeah,
the resulting budgetary and programmatic priorities may include, but not limited to, increasing minority home ownership and access to affordable housing, increase minority business ownership and career opportunities, strategies to grow equity and generational wealth, which I'm very huge on, closing the gaps in healthcare, education, employment, and pay, neighborhood safety and fairness within the criminal justice system. The resolution
Neighborhood
reads,
safety, bro.
Wow.
Please let
I'm
me
gonna
go
read
first.
I'm gonna read one more point. I'm gonna read one more point here. The resolution calls on the city to create a community reparations commission, inviting community groups and other local governments to join. It will be the commission's job to make concrete recommendations for programs and resources to be used. I'm going to refer to this article a little bit later, but I'm going to open up to the room. Dev, I say you get first, and then we'll go from there.
Oh,
I'm pissed.
We go around here this way.
Oh, man. I want to go first.
I'm sorry, Will, you got it after that.
I'm
PG
pissed.
Jakes.
Because I'm pissed because if this, and I'm not saying that necessarily the black members of the community or the board members didn't have good intentions in mind, but if this isn't such a fucking oblivious and obvious definition of pandering, I can't fucking. There's nothing else that I can give to you. Aunt Jemima aside, all these national implications that people are they're giving us, saying that, hey, we understand where you come from.
Here's this, but we won't fix the problem.
Sorry, and here's what we're doing. This what's going on in Asheville. Good intentions aside, like history is spoken, and I can't remember necessarily the quote or history is paved with good intentions.
I don't know. It's the way the path to hell.
Yeah, the path to hell is paved with good intentions.
Thank
right,
you, sir.
Full quote. Full quote. Thank you, Will. It's full of good intentions. You feel me? This right here is so. It bothers me because everything that has happened in our society in this country for so long, and this is the point where we've gotten to. This is the point we've come to. You feel me? It seems so minuscule when you talk about just in the confines of the North American continent in general, 400 years. That excludes everything else that happened leading up to this, right? So you're saying that in 400 years, say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to look into these different things in Asheville, North Carolina. Now, the reason why I have an issue with North Carolina in general, because It's 2020, right? 2018, there was a study done, and an investigation, a federal investigation done in the voting systems and certain systems in North Carolina specifically, as far as it relates to race, as it relates to housing, as it relates to voting. And North Carolina was found out to still be redlining communities. So if anyone doesn't understand what redlining means, yo, bro,
Look it up too as
can't-
well.
Google it.
I can't. Thank you.
Google
I
it.
cannot dive into this shit deep enough.
It's not
Jim-
your responsibility,
It's
my friend.
Jim
not,
Crow on
bro.
steroids.
It's not your
I
responsibility,
can't,
man.
bro. But if you fully understand the implications of redlining, we're in 2018 at the point where it was discovered that it was still happening.
Discovered.
Yo,
Discovered.
that doesn't mean that it stopped. It means that in 2018 it was discovered.
Just found. Like,
Yo,
oh.
Yeah, literally, someone stood there with a pad. Goes, look at that.
wait a minute. Redlining.
A magnifying glass. Like,
Yo.
oh, what is this?
If you don't know what redlining is, please, I don't have the time to dive into it, but look up what redlining in counties across this nation actually means for black and brown individuals. The fact that just 2 years ago this was still found out. This was just, I'm sorry, not it wasn't just found out. It was known. But the federal government, the local government, they acknowledged that it was still happening. And then you're sitting here telling me that 2 years later, in North Carolina, where this was proven to still be an issue, race was still proven to be an issue, you're saying that, hey, 2020, guess what we going to go? We recognize that there were some things going wrong in this country.
We recognize.
We recognize this. Now, look, we're not necessarily saying that we're going to pay the descendants or we're going to pay individuals for what it is that we recognize was wrong. But what we're going to do is we're going to funnel monies to certain programs and different things within the community. Do you know how many institutions and how many things have gone wrong and under the guise of public funding? You know how many projects have been done in North Carolina? Gentrification has happened within Raleigh, North Carolina, under the guise that it was supposed to bring black and brown people more jobs, more availability towards funds and different things like that. So when you tell me as a council in Asheville that you're not necessarily going to pay the descendants of, but what we're going to is going to funnel these hundreds of $millions to you all's community, bitch, we already got affirmative action. Fuck you talking about? Yeah. There's black and brown people that's being pushed towards the front of the line as far as education goes. And you're talking about as far as the Affordable Housing Act has already been established. So you're telling me that you're going to add to something that's already been established as far as banks having to really look at black and brown people and say, yo, they are actually able to pay for these loans?
We'll support it now.
Yo, but what we're going to say is, hey, yeah, the federal government had already said, yo, we're going to do this, but we as a local are saying we're going to support what the federal government.
It's a slap in the face,
It's
bro.
fan service is what it is.
Don't forget to slap a black person's face on it to make sure it's cool with everybody.
Yeah. Oh, hey, boom. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put the black council member on there and say, hey,
Let him talk.
this is what we're doing.
Send him out there.
You know what?
Hey,
but
facts.
look,
What did it say in the article? What did it say in the article you read? You just read.
Yeah, exactly. It's an African American
Do you
councilman
think
out
we
there.
can
Did
get
they
Killer?
not put that in there on purpose?
Do you think we
Exactly,
can get Killer
exactly.
Mike to speak?
I can be on this diatribe all
I
day,
got
bro.
that.
I'm a writer too as well. That was on purpose. Will.
I got to pull myself out of this, bro, because I can go all day.
Hey, shout out to PG
Let me-
Jakes preaching on it.
Hey, I'm ready when I'm ready.